Wow, I just found this in the fridge. It is really good. It is they sell this in a lot of the very popular Peruvian chicken places. Mm. Mm. Pollo a la brasa, they call it. Very good. I just got to be careful. It's very sugary, and I got to be careful and just sip a little bit once in a while. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad everybody hopefully had a wonderful week. I did as well. Typical week for us. Couple of medical appointments, go pick up meds, hang out with the grandson. We went to a practice for his soccer team. And then this yesterday, he was supposed to have a big practice with a bunch of kids, and apparently no one showed up and they didn't have it. And it would have been just down the road from us instead of having to drive like 27 miles up north just to go to this so-called soccerplex. It's a ridiculous, amazing place with over, I think they have over 25 soccer fields there, and a swimming, like an Olympic type pool. They actually have a stadium with bleachers, and yeah. But anyway, so we stayed home. This morning, he texted me. He says, "Hey, would you like to meet us at IHOP? We're going to eat breakfast there." And I said, "Nathan, we have to go to church first, and then we'll be back, and then I got to do the live stream. Why don't you guys come down? They're 8 miles north of us. At 3 o'clock. I should be done by then, hopefully. And then we'll order some pizza, and you guys can hang out with us." I love hanging out with my son and his favorite boy, his nephew, Nathan. So hopefully that'll come true, and that'll end a wonderful day today. It's beautiful outside, and couldn't ask for better weather. It's only like going to be like 79, 80 degrees. But inside the house, it's actually quite cool because overnight it was very chilly out, about mid 50s. Heating up my heat press as we are talking here. Got lots of things to show you. Yesterday went to, well, let me get started here and we'll get to that in a second. Let me go ahead and remove my video. Yeah, that'll be the third topic. Let me first greet everyone here, and then we'll get busy. Ron K was the first one on this morning, 6:24. Hello from Trenton, New Jersey. EPSON ECOTEC 8550, Qimage Ultimate Lifetime, Canon R5 Mark II, and a Canon 7D. Welcome, Ron. Nice to have you back again. Nigel Waters, Wales, UK. And he was just a few minutes later. Canon Pro-300 with all the trimmings. Welcome back. These are my regulars. Fred Elias, Warren, Michigan, EPSON ECOTEC 8550, Red River Papers, OEM Inks, i1 Pro, Nikon D300, Home Printer Hobbyist, started with film and Leica M3. I had an M2, mid 50s home darkroom. Let me stop right here because you just struck a memory here. Um, in I started when I was like, what was that, 8 years old, 9 years old, about 1958. I got interested because I saw an album that this very renowned photographer, they took him to Spain, my family did, and my cousin got married to a Spaniard. It didn't quite work out. But anyway, I saw this beautiful album, and it was no longer these little tiny prints with a stipple edge. That's used to be what everyone got from the roll film, these local labs run by Kodak, of course, back in that day. And I thought, my gosh, look at texture, paper, beautiful, like toning to these. I got to do this, I thought. And I gave up all my other hobbies and I got involved in that. And that led to today, literally. I did not stop. So in the Army, during the Vietnam era, it was a Nikon F2. That was the camera you took out to the field and covered a whatever was going on, whether it was combat, whether it was just news, and whatever. And you usually got stationed in Saigon with one of the newspapers, like the Army. I forget what it was called, Stars and Stripes. And so then later on, because that was a relatively heavy film camera. When I went into the special forces, they gave us Leicas M2s, so that's what we actually used. And much lighter, you can actually hang from a helicopter and shoot the parachute jumpers coming out of the back, in the back of the helicopter. This is like a Huey, and yeah, uh, much lighter, easier to use, and so that's what I ended up using from that point onward. And then, I think I ended up with some Pentax cameras in Korea, but in NATO Supreme Headquarters, I like Powers Europe. We use Nikons throughout. That was and also large format cameras. So, but yeah, I do remember my Leica, wonderful little camera and amazing quality. In fact, who was a photographer, Eisenstadt, he was famous for basically making the Leica popular back in the day, because it was during the mid 40s when they started to experiment with motion picture film, which was 35 millimeter. So they created, I know Germany, Russia created some cameras as well. And that's how we got hooked on 35 millimeter, which would have been considered inferior to 120 film, 6 by 6 centimeter negatives, compared to what is it, 1 inch by an inch and a half. No comparison. Everything was grainy. Yeah. But anyway, it became popular and it's still to this day. And that's why DSLRs, they mimic that format, that 2:3 format. All right, enough of that. So Martin van Gogh is here as well. Stormy Netherlands. Oh, I'm glad it's not here, but hang in there. I guess you guys will be fine. Epson. I hope you guys are still here. Somehow, I don't know how that happened. I got kicked out completely. So, um, anyway, he's got Lightroom, Photoshop, DxO Photolab 9, and Pure Raw 5, and Ilford paper, only monochrome printing. Please let me know you guys can see me. Let me go back up. Henry Stoffel is here welcome from sunny, warm Medford, Massachusetts. Epson P800 OEM inks, and of course, Qimage Ultimate. Everyone update to the new 2026 105 release October 2nd. And that one actually fixed an issue that I was always complaining about. You guys remember, where if you, yeah, it would reset the border or whatever the layout was to whatever was there before and not what I had had just said. So if I added a photo, then I removed that photo, it would go back to the original layout. Steve Excel, London, UK, EPSON P-800, refillable cartridges and OEM inks, and one i1 Studio spectrophotometer, Qimage, Photoshop, Nikon Z7 II, and EPSON V500 scanner. Let me make sure at the bottom here. Yeah, see you fine. Okay, good. I always worry. Okay. For a Nikon 780, greetings from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Canon Pro-1000, EPSON EcoTank 8550, XP15000, R1900, OEM inks, paper plus Red River, Qimage Ultimate, Photoshop, Lightroom, DxO, Photolab, and 9 and Nikon D850, D800, and a Sony A65. Nikon sent me this email the other day asking me to collaborate. They would provide me with cameras, like maybe one of those. And I thought I got back to them a while ago, and that I didn't hear anything from them. And they contacted me again. Maybe after my channel disappeared, maybe that's why. So I got to get back with them, because I would love to collaborate with Nikon and get into the photography side of things a little bit more. Hopefully that will amount to something. Sorry about that. Kevin Berniarski, Ellsworth, Wisconsin, Canon Pro-300, EPSON 80, XP15000, and the EcoTank 8550 as well. Fred Bird, great info on remaking cards last week. I can make some more today if you wish. The cards, what was the size of the original sheet of paper? It is 6.25 by 9. Okay, when you fold it in half, which has a pre-scored line, you just very easily fold it. Where's my box? Right here. 6.5 by 9. And although you can do this in Qimage, it's a little bit more involved. I love doing it using the very, very, very old-fashioned, they call it a shape. You basically create your document, create the shape, drop it. In this case, we're going to position it on the bottom, facing, up. So when you fold it in half, you'll be looking at the front of the card, assuming that the folded edge is on the left as you're viewing it. You could also view it in this direction. Anything you want to print horizontal, you just print horizontal. Anything you want to print vertical, you print it in horizontal mode. That way, when you flip it over, it'll be correctly orientated. And so, but yeah, it's very simple, because I can drop like 20 different images and just turn the little eyeballs on or off, and then print just that version. Print 10 of them. Print 10 with number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and so on, in just a single file, because of the layer system. And you cannot do that really elsewhere. Harold Davies, La Crosse, Wisconsin, Pro 1100, 2100 PCSE. Qimage just informed a short, sweaty hike. Just in from a short, sweaty hike, and glad to hear your voice already playing as I walked in. Thank you, my friend. I'm glad you can go on a hike. I'm going to start exercising. I actually lost a few pounds simply by changing my diet and being very careful. That's why I'm not going to drink too much of this, but no more donuts, no more cookies, no more cake, no more any of that. And I feel so much better. So now I just got to get, my back is always the issue. I have actual problems with some of my areas in my back, my hip, and so forth. But if I have a little bit less weight to carry, it'll be easier on those areas. That's what I've been told. And doing a lot of exercise, so I'm getting strong again. But anyway, glad you're back from your walk. Jose, do you think that Leica produced a better image than an equivalent Nikon or other? Well, it's here and there. People will always debate about that. and you could do a scientific analysis where, remember the so-called resolution charts? You just shoot a chart. It's got all of these little resolution charts on a wall, and you have to set up your camera tripod permanently in a perfect perpendicular position, and you shoot that shot. You take that shot at the optimum aperture. Okay, so you have to do several apertures right about the middle of your, from fully open to fully closed range, right around the middle, f8, whatever. And then you have to analyze it with a high power loop, the negative, and see which one gives you the last one that you can actually read the lines, because they have vertical and horizontal lines. And if you could just see a little mass of gray, that did not get resolved. And then the next one up would have a higher resolution. And so, yeah, that's how you did it. And so I remember lenses only being compared by their resolution, the film resolution, so many lines per square inch, per square millimeter. Sorry, not square inch, square millimeter. So, yeah, but now it's all visual, so we rely on that. So how do you analyze it? You have to print on an enlarger or scan it. On an enlarger, you usually have to make sure that the focus is always perfect. You focus on the grain. I had a little device that I hold on the easel, and it would show me the grain structure, and I would focus till that grain structure was sharp. That meant that my image projected onto my easel was perfectly focused because I could see the grain. Okay, doing it with your eyeballs, there was always a slight difference in focus. Scanning, yeah, that should be pretty exact every single time. So, scan it as high a resolution as your scanner can handle, even if it's, interpolating, that's fine. Just go to the max and beyond that. And then when you view the image, control plus, 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 plus until you see the actual grain. If you can see grain before you see pixels, then you scanned it higher resolution than you really needed to, because, and actually that's what you want. You want to be able to resolve the grain, and then you go back to full size. Which one looks better? The scan from the Leica 50 millimeter lens, or the one from an Nikon with a Nikkor 50 millimeter lens at f8, same distance, same scene, same lighting. You have to do everything exactly the same. You as well as I. You're a scientist yourself as well. So that's the only way to do it. Full controls and compare the two. And what else? I mean, contrast, this and that. Yeah, there's too many little variables back in the film days. But I don't know. That's like comparing a say an older Nikon, like I have a D70, which is actually pretty nice. My grandson Nathan has it right now. He's shooting his players in the drama club at his school with it. And so, is that better than a mirrorless Nikon today? Depends on the lens, too many variables. So I like the Leica. I like the ability to just go boom, boom, rangefinder focus, quick, Yeah. Anyway. Yes. And I love that picture, Ron. Okay, good. Judy Ann is here from Washington State. Canon Pro-1000, Nikon, and Fuji film cameras, Lightroom, and OM1. Yes, can see you. Good. It just went back to the page before I actually log on, where I'm actually seeing myself, but I have not gone into the studio. It freaks me out when that happens. And I don't know whether that's an issue with my computer. I rebooted my computer just prior to starting up, so to make sure that there's no issues with, memory or locked up memory on other applications I've been using yesterday or whatever. Fred Bird, thank you for the card size. I had not made a note up to size and could not remember what the size was. Yeah, and Red River sells various types of cards. Let me see if I can find the sample pack for cards. Here we go. Here we have premium gloss. So I don't know if you can detect you see the score in the middle, right? So you would print that like this. A landscape photograph would be in landscape, and if you were to print the vertical, you would want it to be the top, want it to be here. So when you fold it like so, it is in this orientation with the seam on the left side as you're viewing it. Here we have a sample kit, and I haven't even opened it. Amazing. Why didn't I open this? What is this? Another sample kit. A complete sample kit. And today I understand you can buy like custom sample kits, okay, where you actually can choose. Wow, look at this. This is quite old though. This is and luckily nothing has turned yellowish, which is something that has a tendency to happen. Polar luster, ultrafine satin. Oh, good Lord. Ultra Pro satin. Red River premium gloss. Semi-gloss. Aurora, well, you name it. It's all there. But I want to look at the sample pack for the cards. But not until I finish saying howdy to everybody here. So we'll put that over here. And let me go ahead and cut. This should be interesting. Maybe we'll try to do a couple of cards with some of those other surfaces that I have in that sample pack. Emmanuel is here from Rouen, Tuon, can't pronounce that, French, Normandy. Storm and rain, EcoTank 8550. So I guess what's happening in the Netherlands is also occurring. Maybe Belgium is also getting some rain and storminess. Where I lived in south portion, we call it the French portion of Belgium. We used to call it liquid sunshine. It was always cloudy and rainy, fantastic for gardening. Maybe once a week you get good sun, and that really was amazing for vegetable growing. And then as you went up north toward the Netherlands, the border, the weather got very nice, sunny, and a little bit more regular weather. But I know it rains everywhere. So EcoTank 8550 Qimage One Apple. And that's the Qimage One for Mac. Color Monkey Lightroom. All right. Harold Davies says, my shooting partner, Mark, is considering moving to Leica or even a mirrorless Sony. We'll rent both and test as you discussed. Yeah. That's what I think Nikon was offering me. I didn't recognize the models, and I looked it up, and sure enough, it was mirrorless. Whoa. Yeah, I would love to try it out. Maybe with the new channel, they will be more open to actually providing me with whatever I need. Literally, that's what they said. Mark seems to like the simplicity of the Leica, so we'll see. Yeah, I tell you, you don't want to jump out of an airplane with a big Nikon F2 back in those days. We're talking 67, 68, 69. When I came back from Korea, it was 74. So, war's well over. But, being in special forces, you were always ready for anything. So we would do missions, jumps, hangings from a harness on a Huey. You want something lightweight. So that thing would be attached to me. So if I fall, it falls. Literally. You got to take care of that camera. Thank you for liking the photo. I did not take it since I am in the photo, but it is well taken by a fellow officer who also enjoys photography. Oh, you never told me about you, Ron. You were a former police officer. My grandson's grandfather, paternal grandfather, is also a police officer, retired, and so is Nathan's cousin's father. So it runs in the family. Thank you for your service. Harold says, I made a bet with my sister that I could shoot nearly as good a print with a camera 20 years older. I just needed to be more aware of its limits. But I hope I proved my point. Sure. I mean, what is the most newest 35 millimeter SLR that was out? I don't even know. I remember using my first digital semi-professional camera. Was that little Nikon with a little folding lens, the little swivel lens that you could just shoot from the ground up and whatever. And it was like 3.3 megapixels. That's all it was. And it was good. It made beautiful, letter size prints. They looked fine to me. They didn't lack in resolution or anything like that. But what came before that? What was like the last popular SLR, film SLR, of course, that professional were using? Nikon, Canon, what? Manuel Martinez, I have a Canon Pro-1000. The black is printing not good. How can I fix that? Thank you very much. Well, me tienes que decir qué exactamente lo que está sucediendo. Okay, si haces un nozzle check, if you make, in English now, you have to tell me exactly what is happening. So when you do a nozzle check, do you see a complete nozzle check or you see areas that are missing? O sea, algunas áreas no están imprimiendo. Okay, so tienes que hacer un cleaning cycle, do a cleaning cycle, and then wait. Cuando termine el cleaning cycle, tienes que esperar un rato y imprimir un nozzle check. You have to wait a little while, let it rest, and then print a nozzle check. ¿Estás rellenando los cartuchos? Are you refilling your cartridges? If so, maybe that's the problem. Sí, eso puede que sea el problema. No están bien rellenados o están atrapando aire. They're trapping air en la esponja, on the sponge. I love translating like that. Makes me feel like I'm in the United Nations. But anyway, yeah, that's all you can do. Just cleaning cycle and print a nozzle check and hope that it goes away. Yes, a retired officer, and I also in the honor. Oh, wow. So you were a member of the honor guard for, like, when an officer goes down, that was you doing that? Awesome. That's one hell of a privilege to be able to do that. When I was a young trooper in the Army, I remember having to go on burial duty where we would literally, a team of us, a rifle team, pallbearers, would go out in the country somewhere, a little family cemetery, and bury a veteran. and boom, 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 21 gun salute, and all of that, and fold the flag and give it to the family. That's one of the duties that we had to perform. That was in Missouri, when I was in Missouri. So it was fun going out in the middle of nowhere and doing one of those, honoring a fallen veteran, and give that flag to the family who was there. Anyway, thank you, man. That's awesome. Harold says, just to answer your question, I thought the last Nikon SLR was the F6. So yeah, I think at that point I was still using what I still have. I have a pretty good collection of old cameras, probably like 30 or 40 of them, including the original Exacta from 1949. There was an earlier one, but I didn't have that one. I have the oh my God. Anyway, it was a waist level type camera, 35 millimeter, very, very full of adjustments. And it was very popular in the scientific world because it was a camera that allowed you to exchange your lenses, to attach to a microscope. The later version had removable eyepieces. You can have a prism, you can have a waist level, all sorts of things, bellows units, oh my God, extension rings, whatever they call them now. But yeah, it was used for all sorts of scientific equipment. The Exacta from Dresden, Germany. Loved it. That was my favorite camera, only because my teacher introduced me to that when I was in like junior high school, what we call middle school now. See, let me just say, when I left Puerto Rico, I was 11 and a half. I had already graduated from the 8th grade at 11 and a half. When I came to Los Angeles, my English sucked, so they put me back one grade. So I started again on the 8th grade, but I still graduated. I was in high school. High school in LA was 3 years. It was 10, 11, and 12th grade. And so when I went into high school, I was 13. When I graduated from high school, I was like 16 and a half, something like that. So I did quite well in school. So they tell me. Anyway, but yeah, my teacher is the one who introduced me to the Exacta. And to him, that was the best camera ever made. So that's why, and I didn't know any other camera. So at that point, I just gravitated toward that. I went to a camera shop in downtown Los Angeles, which now I don't know how I did that. I said, how old was I? 12. I had $30 with me, and I picked one up for $22.95 back then. And that's the camera that I used until I came into the Army. And yeah, that's what I used when I got stationed in San Francisco, met my wife. That's all I was using for shooting, in waist level finder, and took beautiful pictures. Yeah. That's it, the Exacta. And you have 3 of them? Excellent. I did not get the new one, the newest one, when they moved to the Western Germany. Yeah, that really changed the quality of the camera. It was no longer as well built as the last model, which I forget what it was. Don't even ask me. But they're not really bringing that much money like on eBay and Amazon. I don't understand why. They're quite good and quite unique. I need a little drink. All right, so where is the channel? How are we doing? Every day is an improvement. Let me show you what's happening here. I'm not quite sure if I'm even supposed to let you see this. I gotta reshare my screen. Hang on. Here we go. Okay. So the first level is this one here. And this simply allows you to have super chat on the live streams. So we have reached, out of 500, we are here, 450 and 24 subscribers. So we need what, like 76 more. And then this is nothing. This is just 3 video uploads in 90 days. Well, I've done over 250. So, and I think that's what they got mad at me for. I was like uploading too much and they thought I was a bot, a robot doing this. No, I'm a real human being, folks. So now to reach the actual level for monetization through Google AdSense, I need to reach here. So I am here right now with 1,372 watch hours, and that is within a year. So it is a moving calendar. It's a rolling calendar. So I still have, gosh, it's been only like a month and a half, almost 2 months. On the 8th of this month is 2 months. So today is the 5th. So 3 more days, and it'll be 2 months before. Well, actually, let's go to the 10th because I didn't start my new channel until a bit later. So let's just say another week. So it'll be 2 months, and I'm already here. I need to reach here as far as subscribers go, and then I need I'm sorry, watch hours. So I need to have, so if I did this in less than 2 months, it should be another maybe 3 months before I reach that 3,000 watch hours. It's a rolling calendar, folks. So I have to maintain 3,000 watch hours as every day passes. In other words, I lose the first day and I gain the last, a new 355th day. So it's a rolling calendar. And subscribers, I need to reach 1,000. So I think this is it right here. So 1,000 subscribers. I'm here already with 424, and I need to reach this number of watch hours. The other one, that was for, I think all I need to do here is add a few more subs and then reach 3,000 hours. Then I'll be able to have here in the chat a super chat where you guys can, if you feel like donating, you can do so there. That's it. The goal is to get this maxed out and then maintain it as such. So again, this is all sort of, they don't like you sharing this information with people, but that's where we are. Alrighty. So we're doing well. If this had been a brand new, spanking new channel where no one knows who the heck I am, it probably would have gone much slower than that. So at least people sort of realize who I was and they recognize me. I hope YouTube is still not suspicious of my activities here. So I am slowing down the uploads to just 2 a day, and I'll do it at a more convenient time, at least for the mainland here, 5:30 and also 7:30 at night. So 2-hour difference between 2 videos a day, and that is easier for me to handle as well because I don't have to do so much work to create thumbnails and get the new video up and all of that information that I have to enter. It's a little bit easier. Right. So that's it. Now, I posted, and I don't know whether they solved that or not, but you guys can tell me if you have been able to see this or you're having issues with it. Let me post this over here. There was a problem with URLs, in other words, links, not being displayed wholly. So they were being cut off. And it was just simply because it was a URL. So I did not have the authority to post URLs when I started off, a few months ago, a couple of months ago. So I hope that's going to be solved. I posted this very link on my Facebook group. These are all my affiliate links. These are all the links for discounts for you guys, for different types of products, different types of items, okay? So make sure that if you cannot access these links yet. I can't because I'm doing it on my computer and I am logged on to my account. But if I was doing it, say on a somebody else's phone, for instance, and is their video channel, their account that I'm looking at my stuff from, I may not be able to see the URLs in completion. So I cannot link, I cannot click and go over to Red River, for instance, or Precision Colors. So I posted this complete list on my Facebook group. If you need to access any of those, just go there. The list is on my Files tab. Download it. It is a text file. And then just copy and paste on your browser those links. Believe me, it's worth your time. Okay? It's not just to help me. It's worth your time because you're going to get discounts. You're going to get hooked on to deals that you're not going to find anywhere. Okay? So just keep your eyes open for that. I posted it on my Facebook group. Let me go ahead and show you how to access that. So regardless of how you see my Facebook group, here you're going to have the choice for, see here, the discussion feature, open questions, members, more. Click on more, files, video description, links, right there. Just click on it and download it. It's just a simple text file, and it'll have all the information that may not be showing up on your YouTube. When you look at show more, you're looking at one of my videos and you go to show more, those links may be contrated. What's that? Is that a word? Where they are just compressed and you don't see the whole link, so you cannot use it. And I think it's a matter of me reaching a certain level before I am authorized to post links. Okay, that I had no idea existed. So just be aware of that. Okay. So yesterday, and this is going to happen every October. Remember, I do miniatures, and you haven't seen these yet. Hang on. You saw these already. But I did not realize that underneath that was another case. Okay, so I went there with my wife. The ladies from my club, our club that we are members of, were begging me to go, and they were begging me to sell my miniature paintings and aluminum prints, and I was hesitant. I didn't do it. I did not book a table. Got there, and immediately it all came back when I was doing all of these shows all over from the Midwest all the way to the East and North and South. And I felt like, oh, I got to do this again. So next year I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to be getting a booth or a table and prepare a lot of stuff to have to sell. And people are telling me that there's nothing like what you make here. Well, I saw a table with some extremely good quality furniture, as good or better than mine. And I'm bragging here, but I was at that level. And they wanted ridiculous amount of money for each one of these pieces, but they were beautiful. Let me see if that's my son. Oh no, it's our friend. So beautifully made furniture. And I thought, oh, I'm a little jealous. This is gorgeous. Holy mackerel. Are you kidding me? $475 for that? Yeah. So obviously, I don't think anyone bought any of that stuff they weren't really ready to buy that. The customer base that was there was more about accessories. They already have rooms and tables and furniture, and all they want to do is accessorize. They're not really buying furniture, and that was like museum level furniture, like this. So let me show you. This is what they call a Southern Cellaret. It's made out of mahogany, and not just any mahogany, but Cuban mahogany. It is now extinct. At least extinct in the way that you cannot go to a lumber supplier and buy some. It still grows there, but it's no longer something that is you can harvest. And it is a Cellaret. It's for wine bottles. And you can see it is built identical to the original. How do I know? I got the plans. I used to sell this for, wait a minute, I don't think you can see it, $92. No way. This would not go for $92 now. There's no way. But I cannot put $300 on this. It would not sell at a show like that. It would sell like at a big giant show. And I cannot take this off easily. I'm going to have to remove it later. But as you can see, times have changed. So back then, that was a good price. I could make this maybe in 3 weeks. $90 in 3 weeks. That's nothing really. I need to make more money than that. So luckily, I just noticed that the legs are tapered. They're square up in this area here. And then they begin to taper inside. Both inside surfaces are tapered and accurately tapered. Okay. So this is the kind of stuff that I used to make. Well, now I'm into, of course, I am into the miniature art. So I looked everywhere, and what they had, and I don't want to sound really mean, but it was really junk. Okay. It was like somebody took pictures from a magazine, pasted them on cardboard, and put a little frame around them. So what I plan to make, of course, is a little bit more involved than that. What happened to my drawer? This is a what they call what do they call it? Something board. And it opens up with hinges. Here as well. I'm sorry. Here as well. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. Little tiny knob. It's got holly inlay on the top. And again, beautiful mahogany. I have a table. This is made out of some kind of Asian wood. I forget what it's called, but it's very exotic. And something like this, and you can see the scroll work right there on the corner here. Right? Sorry, this is flipped. The image is always flipped. So right here, that's made out of veneer, and I think it is actually ebony veneer. So this piece in full size would have been super expensive back in the day. Only the rich could afford this. I need to find out what kind of wood this is, but you can see the lower edge that has molded edges, actually 2 edges here, and then of course the legs as well. But anyway, yeah, so this is the stuff I used to make. And so if I was attempting to go back to this, well, my eyes can't handle it anymore. And I would have to go to the big giant shows, not the one that we went to, but a much higher level show. Okay, so now I'm going to put this back on top. I just want to show you one more thing. So I saw a chair similar to this, and they wanted like $300 something, and it's ridiculous. This I used to sell for $60. And this is the same level of quality that I saw yesterday. So anyway, I spent time yesterday when I got home even though there's still a whole year ahead. I got all excited and I printed some 2-inch by 2-inch images. Some of them are real, some of them are AI generated, and I used my 8x10 glittery type aluminum. It's beautiful. It just gives this just a special look, and I will be trimming these. I will be mounting them in the back like I do my regular ones. I'm going to order some 32nds of an inch plywood. They have that. Amazing. Then cut so that I have like what would be an equivalent to an inch border. Attach it and then put a little mounting bracket on there. Yeah, it's going to look like the real thing now. They told me that, yeah, this might go well, but they mostly make more rooms that are more 1920s or even 1890s, 1800s, and just earlier, not modern. Okay. So I'll make enough of those to have them available, but they really want this. So I'll do these as paintings. I'm going to be spraying them with the glossier coat so that it looks varnished, and then I'm going to be making frames. It's going to look like a framing shop from 1930s did it. That's how it's going to look like. When you look at the back of a beautifully framed image, not image, but painting, you will notice the back is covered with paper. It's going to have documentation on it. It's going to have 2 screw type eyelets and wire. So I am going to do all of that. They told me each one of these you can easily sell for $75 each, framed and done like the real deal. So how many are in here? 5 by 6, 7, 8, 5 by, that's 40 at, well, what did I say? 75 or 85? 75. So do the math. So it should do well. Time-wise, yeah, it's going to take a while. I have here some of my AI paintings. I will do those. These are going to be, in scale, it will be 2 by 3 foot size. So it's 2 by 3 inches. It's 1/12 scale always. And so, yeah, I'll be making more of these, obviously, and I'll have several hundred framed, ready to use. So my table is just going to be art. And I'm going to take some full-size versions for me to display behind, like in front of, I'm behind the table. So I'll have the full-size images, and then the as per type and group individual frames, and then I'll have some in display as well. So you want this one, we'll look here and give you already pre-packaged. I'll have to buy the larger envelopes, little this type of thing here, and they will be inside. So my cost for this, I think I paid $20 for the 10 sheets of paper, so $1 per sheet. Then of course my time, my printing. This is 40 of them here, so yeah, it's very good profit. Okay. Making the frames is a pain, but I've come up with ways to speed up that process and be able to mass produce exactly the same length side and shorter side, mitered. Okay, and it'll be molding in miniature, and it'll be stained, it'll be weathered, and yeah, it's going to look like the real deal. So I gave my other samples to one of the dealers yesterday, and I told them don't sell them yet, just do a little research on your own to see what, and I told them to keep the money. So they're all enthused, and they're all, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. And so, yeah, because they're going to be going to Philadelphia, New York, and do shows there as well. That's what I used to do. I just don't have the energy to do that anymore. Do the traveling and the setup and the hotel and the grand opening and all of that. Yeah, it's that big. It is that big a deal. Yeah, it's just a matter of me not being at that level yet. So once I do, because I remember before all the links were available in full. Right now, what you have is a portion of the deal of the link with dot dot dot. So all right. So yeah, that's where I'm at, and we will be doing a little bit more of that as well. I'm gonna, as I do something slightly different, I'll share it with you guys, and by next October, actually, the show's going to be on the 3rd, Saturday the 3rd, which is just a day difference than yesterday's. And we'll see. I'll let you guys know if we're going to have a good Christmas or not. So they're telling me you would sell out. And I'm thinking, well, we hope so. But it depends what they mean. Sell out 1,000 of them or sell out 100 of them. So either way, it would be good. I don't know what they're charging for the tables, but to rent the hall at the volunteer fire department near Frederick, Maryland, it's north of us. I'm sure that wasn't cheap. So they have to pay a fee. We pay $10 to get in. So if 300 people came in, that was $3,000. Is that enough? They were short last year. They were like $300 short last year. They didn't really generate the full amount that they needed. So when I used to do this professionally, we had show promoters that's all they did. That was their living. So they usually held these shows at big hotels in big cities. Okie doke. Let me remove this. Okay, so I was talking to someone who had to redo their driver, and they went to EPSON and they found the driver. They did a search and they downloaded this file that had a ton of stuff in it. And I thought, well, sure, if you're a beginner and you are installing your brand new printer from scratch and you want to experiment with all the available software, then you can download the so-called combo pack. So I don't recommend that because you can also access individual softwares. Let me go to EPSON USA. And let's see, go to support. What do I have to click here? Accept cookies. Yes, okay. Hello, Shaq. Here's Shaquille. And there he is, big man right there. All right. So he's the pusher not pusher. He's pushing the EcoTank printers. I'm glad they got him because he's so well known. We're going to go to support. We're going to go to printers and then going to enter, I don't know, let's see, EcoTank 8550. Boom. And manuals, downloads. So you got to choose your operating system. So I am on Windows 10 64-bit and go. So you got to do that, okay? And then here, we're going to look at the drivers. They got drivers, utilities, firmware, and I just updated mine automatically. ICC profiles, how about that? So have a look. If you go here, printer driver. So it seems to me, oh, here we go. Combo package installer. It comes with everything. It's actually 2.2 megs because it's just like it's like a link, basically. It's an installable link that will then download all this other stuff that you may or may not need or want. Okay. So, I mean, did I install the scanner? Yeah, I did. I did install that combo pack, I have to admit. But, you know, you may not want to. On another printer would say no scanner, a more professional level printer. It has sometimes a very low-end beginner type printing utility that you may not want to deal with. So drivers and utilities combo package installer. So this is the whole thing right here. Printer driver. So just install the driver. Don't deal with anything else. Remote printer driver. What in the heck is that? Okay, so that might be something to do with file contains the EPSON remote print driver compatible with ARM devices, ARM, for Windows 11 or later. So this remote print driver allows you to print from an EPSON email-enabled printer anywhere in the world. Okay, I don't think I need that. First of all, I'm not running Windows 11, so I don't need that. So you see what I mean? So all of that would come with that combo installer. Let's look at Canon. Let me see if there's a more direct. Well, let's try this one. Scanners. Nope. Projectors. Printer. Where are the printers? Right here. Okay. Okay. Photo printers. Let's try that. And is there a support? Yes. There is support for printers. And we'll enter the Pro-1000. Let's see if they force you to get a like a combo type downloadable file. Okay, how about Qimage Pro-1000? Okay, here we go. So let's see what we got here. Oh, this is, I'm sorry, I'm on EPSON? What the heck? It's supposed to be on Canon. Canon USA. Jeepers. Yeah. See that they led me over to, yeah, I need to be careful and read. Canon support. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. No wonder I couldn't find. Stop it. My gosh. Printers. Shop all printers. Let's just see if we got a support tab here somewhere. Here we go. And then we're going to enter Pro-1000. Don't just plug your printer in and think magic is going to take place and install what you need. Okay, Image Prograph Pro-1000. There's some articles here. Let's go ahead and see what we software and drivers. Software and drivers right here. Okay, operating system Windows detected. Okie doke. And here we go. So we can download this professional print and layout, sure, you can install that. That's good. That will allow you to print through either as a standalone, I believe, and also through Photoshop. You basically export your image after you edit it to that and then print from that. And it basically takes care of most of the color manage workflow issues. Here is the package, a software package. No, I would just continue. Poster artist updater. What the heck is poster artist? I don't need that. Wi-Fi, sure, I need that. I'll do that. Image progress. Here we go. Finally, the driver. This is what you really want. That. Just download that, and then download the professional print layout if you want that. Or like me, I don't use it at all. I just use Qimage. So, you know, don't unnecessarily download a package that simply you don't need, actually. Okay. So, and this is what I was trying to explain to someone, and it ended up being that, yeah, they didn't need half of the stuff that that package came with. So they would have installed it automatically, because he goes, you know, one after the other, installing everything. All right. Another issue was, and I just today, the young man with the Spanish name. Let me find you again. Where did he go? Manuel Martinez. So you have an issue. I know it's probably like when I started, I couldn't speak English. So I know what you mean. You have an issue with black. So either you saw it on the nozzle check or you did not, or you saw it where shadows don't have black in them. They look kind of gray. It almost looks like a reversal. And so that, if I see that, I will immediately run a nozzle check immediately. And you do that in the driver. In Windows is right click, driver's preferences, go to the utilities or maintenance tab, and there's the nozzle check. So for instance, let's do a nozzle check here. Do I have any paper? I gotta buy some plain paper, folks. I'm totally out. So if I see a problem with nozzle check, with any color actually, then I will load a sheet of paper, just plain paper. Then I can either do it on the screen. With this printer, I can do it on the screen, but I'm going to show you how to do it on the computer. So I'm going to click on Control Panel. You will see this. This is on Windows. I don't know how to do it on a Mac. So here's the Control Panel. So here, Devices and Printers. Click on that. Then I'm going to see all my printers that I have activated. And we're looking for 8550 right here. Right click on your mouse, Printer Preferences. And you will see this. Maintenance. Right there. Print head nozzle check. Click on that. And then this will appear. Print. And my printer will wake up. Nothing else has been done today on that printer, so we'll have to cross fingers. This is what you will see. And this basically says, if you see this, missing lines. Oh, sorry. If you see this, you see how there's missing lines? Here's complete. Little steps, complete, one after the other. Each little step is one nozzle. So here you have a bunch of little missing nozzles, pretty much on all the channels, all 6 channels. So if we do not get this, if we have some gaps, and we'll look at that in a minute, then we do a clean. Okay? So do the nozzle check first. And usually when you do not see a perfect result, you're not going to click on finish. Okay? Wait until you're finished. Right now it's going to print. So it printed the nozzle check. It printed the serial number, the firmware number. How many pages borderless have I printed? 33. With border, 1,442. Black and white pages, I printed 45 of them. Blank pages, 18. I don't know what that means. Total pages, 1,528. And it was installed in 2022, 07, the 16th. Let me go to me. And I think it's easier if I don't turn that light on. You can see all of the lines are there for photo black, pigment black, cyan, yellow, magenta, and gray. So everything's there, and all the pertinent information that I printed, that I just read, is there. So this is a good way to keep track on your usage, as well as wanting to know if you're going to sell your printer, you can show people how many sheets have actually been printed on that particular printer when you installed it originally right here. And so people know that's a kind of a certification of the printer's ability at that point. So I don't have to do anything. So when it comes to this situation here, I can go ahead and click on finish. Or if I did see lines, I would have to click on clean. So click on finish and OK and done. And that's it. So in your case, if you see, si ves áreas que no están imprimiendo, do the nozzle check again. I mean, do the cleaning cycle. You can do a cleaning cycle directamente, sin hacer el nozzle check, okay, without doing the nozzle check. You can just do the cleaning and then do the nozzle check. Nozzle check is just to see if the process worked. Okay. Si funcionó, good. Si no funcionó, you have to repeat it. Tiene que repetirlo. Okay. What else could happen? So it could be something. And I've shown you this one before. This is a doozy. Instead of getting a result like this, normal exposure or normal density, let's just say. Again, and you got to remember, this video camera really sucks. This looks in person beautiful. These are beautiful reds. Here they look kind of orange. Okay, but trust me, they are red. They are true. The neutrality of this is even better than what you see on the screen. I have a complete density range from the blackest black, or 2, which is just above black. I can look at it with backlight and I can see level 2 and 4. Holy mackerel. That's incredible. And you're not supposed to ever be able to do that. And somehow I did it here. What if you get this weird result? Look at the colors. Let me, in comparison to this. This is normal. This is as near perfect as you can get. Look at that. What happened? Well, I think I used the correct color manage workflow. No, you didn't. What happened is that you were not using something like Qimage. You double profiled. What does that mean? Well, most people know, most people that are here may know that, but some of you may not. And it's nothing to, I don't mean to be insulting. Okay. I didn't know what the heck it was. And I did it constantly. Dummy. Yeah. I was telling Photoshop back in the day to control color because I was told, oh, you need to use the profile for that paper. Okay. So I go to, let Photoshop control color. I choose my profile. Then I went to the driver, and I set paper size, all of this stuff, that the common stuff, glossy, whatever. And I didn't realize that color mode was set for it to control color using some weird Epson automatic method. No, both entities were controlling color. That's why I was getting such ridiculous results. Another possibility, once you learn how to turn that on and off, you could make a mistake, not with Qimage, but if you're on your own working with Photoshop or Lightroom, you could conceivably turn off color management in the driver like you should be doing if you plan to let the application control color, Photoshop, Lightroom, and you assign an ICC profile because you chose the right paper and all of that. And maybe you made a mistake in both of them. Maybe you let the driver control color, but you forgot to turn the driver's color management back on. Oh my God. And then you get this. Yeah. Is that lovely? I even prefer the bad one over this, obviously. This is no color management, zero, either by the application or the driver. This is how you print nozzle charts. I mean, profile charts. Sorry. This is how you print profile charts with zero color management. Say in Photoshop, zero photo color management in the driver, just out. No, nothing is controlling color. And when you print, if you're making a chart for then scanning, we're using the software for your particular spectrophotometer, it's going to automatically set that condition up. It's going to tell the driver, nope, you don't control color, and it's going to tell that same software from that spectrophotometer, nope, you're not going to control color either. It's going to print it as raw as possible. And then that is what you're going to scan, and it's going to determine errors in output. And then it's going to do all of this figuring out, and it will create a profile. Then when you print with that profile, you have to tell the application to control color, and it'll say, which profile do you want me to use? And you choose that particular one, the one you made. You give it a name, including the printer model, the paper type, and anything else that you can identify it easily. If you just have, say, 30 profiles installed, it's easy to find, but I have hundreds, so it's a pain in the butt. Now, Qimage allows you to do a search. So I can just pick a word that I know I used for my title, and I can immediately find it, and I'll use that profile. Then I have to tell the driver, hey, since I am letting the printing application have full control, you cannot have control. So I have to turn you off. No color management, or zero, or none, whatever the wording they use. So the driver, it just knows that you're choosing a certain type of paper and the size, and that's it. No color control. The application, through that profile you spent an hour creating, that is what is going to then control how accurate your images colors are reproduced on paper, on that particular paper, that particular printer, that particular inkset. Whatever combination you use to create that original chart that you scanned, that's the same combination you'll have to use to print if you want to use that paper profile. So with the 8550 and this amazing paper that we're using here, that, and it's not meant for inkjet printing. It is that acrylic paper, and it happens to have a linen surface. That's and that was a weird idea somebody got that allows that printer to use both black inks. Normally you either use one, the dye black ink for glossy papers, or the pigment black ink for matte, but not both. But there's a magical paper choice called Velvet Fine Art that triggers both blacks, and it gives you the ability to do this. And someone asked me last week, I don't know whether he's here or not. He's a big fan of the Pro 1000. And he says, well, can you do that on the Pro 1000? Show me. Well, unfortunately, because it is a Canon printer, Canon printers generally do not use the matte black pigment ink when you choose just plain photo matte paper. Why? I have no idea. I wish someone in the engineering department would explain that one to me. Why do you not use the proper black ink when I choose photo matte? The only way that I can get triggering of the matte black ink, in other words, the denser pigment black ink, is to use a fine art choice. But when I do that, it forces me to load the paper in the rear manual feeder. And the Pro 1000 does not like this paper. It rejected it over and over and over again. So I chose, I think it was a very high-end matte type paper, and it would reject it. So I couldn't get it to work. Nothing against the Pro 1000, but it could not load this super thick, stiff paper. I don't know why. I have some issues with my feeder in the front, so I cannot do a front feed. So that's out of the question. I had to use the manual feeder, and it would reject it every time. So I did it from the front feed using the regular photo matte paper, and no, it only uses photo black ink. I got this result, very grayish looking. And then this is the one with the 8550 using the Velvet Fine Art setting and profile. Quite a difference. So even though had I been able to use the rear feeder, maybe it would have been better, but maybe this combination just simply is not going to work on the Pro 1000. It works on the 8550, and even that's a pain in the beep to do because I have to literally force it in. And so, yeah. So that takes care of that. I wanted to make a profile. And with what paper choice? There's no Velvet Fine Art like Epson has, which automatically triggers both blacks when you happen to have both blacks in your printer. If this had been like an early, like a P800, and I have Velvet Fine Art there, you cannot have both blacks triggered at the same time. The printer has a black ink switch valve. It's either the photo black or the matte black, and it shares one single black channel. Not so here. So that is a positive for the 8550. Those two black inks, they don't share channels. They can be triggered simultaneously. And using Velvet Fine Art does that. Did anyone know this? You know, even Keith Cooper didn't until recently. So I made a profile, and this is the results. We get a nice, not the strongest black you've ever seen, but better than this. And in certain regions, like right here, really doesn't need it that much. Like this is not so different because there's no strong blacks there. But as you get to the water, the waves, you see those strong blues, it just cannot reproduce them. Okay. So in this case, the 8550 wins. Now, if I could feed, even if I could feed the paper through the back without an issue, the printer's not using both blacks. It's just using matte black. So it's not getting that extra kick that the 8550 allows you. I don't know of any paper choice in the fine art drop-down menu that triggers both blacks. I would have to talk to a Pro 1000 engineer and get the actual. Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's a matter of. I'm going to just jump in front of some people. So Julian says, it's a matter of rollers not being able to grab the paper. Yeah, it doesn't grab it. It just spins. And rather than damage something, I decided to quit. Hi, I'm here and I am on Pro 1100. You can choose both blacks. But that's something the Pro 1100 can do. What about the Pro 1000? So that would be good. If you can do that, then the 1100 will be able to reproduce this type of look on this type of paper. The problem is feeding it. You know, that's the issue. I didn't really get into the paper specifications, whether there's a one for thick papers or not, whether that would be available in the manual feeder or not as well. So have to get into that and see. Now I fed it through the top feeder, which in order to do that, I could only use the photo black, not the higher, the photo matte. I mean, not the art type photo mattes. They have to be fed manually. I can get rid of the leading borders that it forces on you. I can get rid of that, but there's no way that I can, do something to make it feed easier. I have to look at the driver a little bit closer. Last night it was late, and I decided to quit, so I was not able to continue my experimentation. I had to go to bed. So interesting, but at this point, it's just so easy to do it on the 8550. And especially for me when I'm printing those, what would be miniature paintings, basically, that I will be selling. If I could do it on the Pro 1000, by all means, I would. I'm going to have to do a little bit more research and see if the 1100's ability can also be performed on the Pro 1000 to use both blacks. Printing issues. Let's see what else we can talk about. Scratches. So if you see scratches, well, okay. Yes, I have the 1100 profiles. So maybe I will do that. I ended up just giving up and using matte, photo matte, and feeding from the top feeder. So what I will do is I will repeat that but use the 1100 profile and see if I get something a little bit different. That's going to be for next week. I will have those results for you guys. Because for me, I would love to buy larger paper, right? They have, I think, 17 by 24 even. So for me, that would be fantastic if I could then get more images for one sheet of paper. Yeah, faster production. So scratches usually are head strikes, or if you have some foreign matter hidden in there somewhere where the head carriage is scratching the paper. Most of the time, it'll be due to the bottom plate itself. And this is a Canon head right here. So this plate It's got some pretty sharp corners right there. Yeah, that's extremely sharp right there. So if the paper is buckling up for whatever the reason, it could happen for many reasons. Some paper has a tendency to absorb a lot of moisture on dark areas because they receive more ink density that way, and they will buckle up. There's only like 15 thousandths of an inch gap, and they'll get scratched right there. That buckled area is close enough to touch the head as it travels across. You could almost hear it. You could almost hear it scratching. Leading and trailing edges, they're not really that well supported. Okay, as the paper is emerging from, you feed it and it's beginning to emerge, it goes forward, it goes back. The printer is checking the front edge and all of that to make sure it's not skewed, and then it goes back to a starting position. That paper is like this. It's bowed slightly up. That's the way paper is. It's not absolutely, it's not a sheet of flat metal. It's buckling up a little bit. So it has a tendency, if you do not have a sufficiently wide border or margin, you may end up with some scratches on the leading, and then on the trailing edge as the paper emerges, unless you have a very long, like these printers have, an extremely long exit tray, and it actually goes up. So the paper's actually going up a little bit, and that leading edge stays flat. Otherwise, if it was hanging down, it causes that leading edge to actually move up a little bit. It gets past, once that leading edge gets past the rear rollers and it's only being fed by the front rollers, it's going to pivot and it's going to get scratched. So the idea is to have as flat as possible paper, and you have to visually look at it and make sure that as it is emerging, it's also not going to shift position, horizontal position, and get hit. But the weirdest one is when you have paper buckling. It depends on the printer and the whatever profile you're using or paper type you're using, that for some reason uses more ink density to create certain tones, and that causes a little bit of buckling, usually with Beretta papers, not with resin coated papers so much. Let me see what Judy Ann has to say. Here's the trick we use at the office. Fold a piece of paper or envelope over the edge of your paper. You would have to experiment with this to get print placement correctly. Rollers might grab it now. But isn't it going to print over that paper? I'm trying to print. I'm trying to get as much as I can out of a single sheet. This is the upper border, and this is the lower border. Okay? I'm trying to get as much as I possibly can out of that paper. So these are all my Parisian night rainy shots. They're all paintings. Those are going to be beautiful paintings. So, it takes me a couple of attempts here, and I finally get it done. But it takes a while. On the Pro-1000, I just couldn't do it. And if I could do it from the front. No big issue from the front for some reason. In other words, the top. It actually grabbed the paper and fed it. So I was very happy with that. But the results, as you saw, are not the same because it's just using the just a normal photomat profile as well. I could use the 1100 profiles. Say, for instance, use the 1100 fine art matte profile, whatever. Let me see what we have. So I have, let me go ahead and do the profiles have names of the papers? I really don't know. Let me open up Qimage, and I'm gonna do a search. It's better for me to do that, to search for profiles, because I can type in 1100 directly. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, but you're talking about the actual finished print, right? Yeah, that's the new ink. So it has the anti-abrasion properties. We're talking about the printers itself causing scratches. Okay, so I have the Qimage open, and I'm just going to go ahead and choose. Let me go here. I'm just going to choose my Pro 1000. I'm just going to load an image. It doesn't matter what it is, right there. And I'm going to go to my profiles, and I'm going to go browse, and I'm going to enter. And once it loads, I'm going to enter the 1100. So here are my 1100 profiles. So I have Beretta photo paper, canvas, extra heavyweight fine art paper, heavyweight fine art paper, another for heavyweight photo paper, highest density fine art paper. What does that mean? Does that mean highest ink density or the paper is heavy? I don't know. Japanese paper, lightweight photo paper, matte photo paper pro luster, platinum. So I would need to find a matte paper that would allow me to get away with that. Semi-gloss, premium paper matte, glossy, art rough. So this is good. I'm going to go ahead and experiment with that and see if any one of those choices produces a better result. I want to be able to match the results that I was getting originally, just using the 8550, using that trick where I'm using the Velvet Fine Art mode with the custom profile that I made. I would first see if using a carrier. I disappeared again. I don't know whether you guys are seeing this happen, but it's taking me outside of the program, and I have to kind of log myself back in. So I would see if using a carrier helps. Just run a blank sheet of paper through. Just plain paper. Yeah, that would work. I can just feel that edge not being grabbed by using the manual feeder. I can continue to try. Maybe later today, my son and grandson are coming over for pizza. That's not gonna happen this afternoon, but later this evening, possibly tomorrow. Yeah, so we'll give that a try. I just want to be able to match as close as I can this result. I want to be able to get this rather than this. And there's not a huge difference. It's just the difference is in the deep tones. You see that? Look how gray and just the blues on those waves look like. And again, remember, this is AI generated. It's not real. Okay. So if I can get this on the Pro 1000 using whatever method I can come across, then I can just go ahead and knock the hell out of those little paintings like there's no tomorrow. So you're asking me to run a plain sheet of my paper through the back. It rejected it. It didn't want it. If I attach a piece of paper, how is it going to know where to begin printing? It's going to print over. I don't know. I don't understand what you mean, Judy, with a so-called carrier. So I have to get it to work from simply using that paper. You know how it works. You load it and then you wait for the command and you press a button and it begins to, pull the paper in. Well, it's not doing it. It looked like this. It looked actually a little bit denser than this, a little bit brighter. This is not exactly like I see on the monitor, but it's very close. Okay. This is definitely not what I see on the monitor. Absolutely not. It's much closer to this. Although the monitor, see, this paper is not for inkjet printing. I have adapted it for that. And by using that method, I was able to get pretty good results, almost satisfactory results. But it's still not perfect. If I had a linen paper, say from Red River, and it is already coated for inkjet printing, oh, it would be much better. Maybe deeper blacks. This is not actually like a super pure black, but it's black enough. It's enough. I can look at it and accept it as such. This has not been sprayed either, so it's not going to get the full enhancement of your darker densities. The score around it is black, pure black, and that looks really black. Maybe this is not actually a pure black right here. So remember that I usually do the adjustment in Qimage where the blackest black is 0.5 above black, not 0. It's 0.5 above black, not even 1, 0.5. And the brightest white highlight is 0.5 below 255. So it's like 254 and a half, something like that. Yeah, whatever. But it gives you a full range of tones. Now, this is just unacceptable. Okay, but I got to find a way to achieve this in the Pro-1000 without making any adjustments to my image. I want the printer to do that. Okay, either that or I'll just use the 8550. It's super easy. Okay, what can I say? It is ridiculously simple. All right, so I am going to create or try to one of these. We're going to do a little sublimation for this. Can I get away with an 8x10? Let's see. I move this, hold this paper out of the way. Maybe we'll do some card printing next week. I'll test some of these papers as well. So let's see. I'm going to have to use a 8x12 sheet for that. Right here, let me see if that will work. Yeah, that definitely will work. And this particular, you'll see what these are. These are lighthouses. And I used a certain descriptive term to generate those. And I know one lady who would probably buy several of these from me because she absolutely loves that particular theme of lighthouses. Yeah, I don't know what it is about that. Maybe she grew up in an area where there were a lot of lighthouses. Now the catch here is I want to make sure that I have sufficient amount of bleed, and I want that edge to be as straight and parallel as possible because I want to use my trimmer later to trim off. Every little image into an individual little picture. And again, I as much as I love these, I don't think they're going to be as popular. So I'm not going to really make a ton of them. I'm going to concentrate more on the more traditional painting. So when I'm generating an image, I tell it to generate it as a painting. And then I either use art or photo. Because if I use photo, it'll actually add brush strokes and so on. If I do art, it'll make it more like line type drawing, and that may not be what I need. I need realism, but I need it to have brush strokes. So That will make it look like a real painting. All right, so this is going to go in this orientation. I'm going to go ahead and prime this the whole cycle. Let it get warm. I'm going to lay this here for a minute. I want to warm it up. And then these here that I did last night came out beautiful. Look at that. Look at this space, like, you know, in the future where the solar eclipse, the moon is huge, and I don't know, it's crazy what it generated, but I love it. Then I have just a normal close-up of a flower. Again, it looks like a carnivorous flower to me. And then this one here. So this is just general abstract art right here. This is like, it's like a gigantic emboss panel. I have a mountain foggy scene. I have a beautiful flower. I have a fishing area with the tide out and all the little boats are stranded. I have an aerial view of what would be a lake. I have a fake shot of our Washington's monument. This is a AI generated desert scene. My two fashion windows and my koi fish pond from Japan. So those will be, I think those will be good for that type of material. Now, not for paintings. That would not go. That would not go well with that. So we're going to lay this down. Do another cycle. This will be the actual transferring cycle. Fold a piece of paper envelope flap over the paper you're having problems with and try feeding it into the printer. Don't print anything. This is just to see if the rollers will now take it. Yeah, that would be the way. So, but yeah, I would love it if we would just be able to grab it. I've done things like that before. Yeah. Thank you, Judy. You're just as wonderful as my daughter, the other Judy Ann. 47 seconds. So this is going to blow a certain club member out of the water when she sees this, because I have some actual not so beautiful ones. It's amazing what you could generate, first of all. So make sure that if you do this for sale, you tell people this is AI generated, does not really represent any actual scene or any of my photography. You are. Okay. 18 seconds. I found an extra one of these. I bought a bunch of smaller ones. They're 3x3 and a little bit thinner. And I'm worried that the screws may actually protrude to the back. I don't know yet. So I have to test them out. Okay, here we go. Ugh, that smell is hard to take. Okay. Looks like everything transferred beautifully. You look for areas that are darker. In other words, they did not sublimate well enough. But so far, everything did. Now, I saved this. I saved this whole layout and can be recalled at any time and reprinted if I need more. But seeing that I know this is going to be popular already, I decided to go ahead and save it so I can go back and recall it at a later date. I have another batch of the 8x12s. It seems to be a pretty good size for me to work with and cut away. So the idea, as I said, because these have to be mounted with a what would be mounting hardware. You can see how well these came out. They're gorgeous. Okay, so each one of these will be cut borderless, and they are 1.5 inches by, actually they're 1.6 inches by whatever. It's actual scale. So I have to figure out to cut a piece of backing. I don't know whether to use plywood or to use like a heavier cardstock, something that would look like MDF in miniature, and then cut it on the trimmer and then center it on the back of each one. That will give you the look that I am producing normally for my prints. And then a mini label, tiny, attach it, and 2 little dots. I'm going to have, I don't know how to do this just yet, but, and then a piece of wire or some sort of mounting bracket in the back. Now, what mostly people are going to do is just glue these to the wall of their room. But I want to provide them with the option to mount it with a nail if they so wish, or a pin. In other words, it will be a pin, a little brass pin. And they do have those in miniature, by the way. It's quite amazing. Okay, so we have these now. Let me see if I have anything else that I need to sublimate while I have the heat press on. Now these here, these are going to be like 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. So that would be in scale. It would be 18 by 18 inches each. Let me see what I prefer. Let's just go ahead and do both. Might as well. Now the 8x10 stuff is glittery. It's actually quite nice. Let me see if I can get away with this. Oh, absolutely can. But I got to be really careful attaching these. I have no room for error. And this stuff is a little bit thicker than the 8x12. Yeah, it's a little bit thicker, so that's good. That's really good. Let me see. What do I have to? I have to perfectly align the top edge. And the bottom edge is right there as well. So I have no room at all for any kind of play. Right there. I actually got away with it I thought I would have to use an 8x12 for this, but I'm able to fit it on the 8x10, which I have another box of it still left. I believe, yeah, right here. So let's go ahead and pop this in. These are the smaller ones. And now the larger 2x2s, I was told that $25 each would be a good sales price. Of course, they're going to be embellished with all of the mounting type hardware and everything, miniaturized. And so that's going to make it more, seemingly more valuable, and something that people would not have a problem paying $25 for, like a 2x2. That would be like a 24-inch by 24-inch print. And again, it's not going to be for paintings. It's going to be only for actual photographs or generated imagery that looks real. Okay, so it's going to be more for modern type of environment. So I'm not going to make a ton of those. I think I'm not going to do well with that aspect. It's going to have to be the paintings that are more for, again, period type rooms, that type of thing. But I love the fact that I was able to get this down to only like, I think it's like 70-second exposure to heat, press time. So that really doesn't take too much time out of my day. And the reason I got excited about it was because I really didn't see anything comparable there to what I'm planning on doing and the way that I'm going to present this. Most of the ones that I saw looked like they came out of Michael's, just straight out of China. Because you know what I should be using is my feet gloves, but I find them so awkward to use that it almost makes me not want to use them. And that's bad. You should be using them. Let me lay this down on the actual table. This is blocking the heat, and it doesn't let it cool down as quickly as it should be. Yeah, this is much better. This is a layout that I already had prepared. And, oh, look, I still have a little gap on the top and bottom. Excellent. This is like almost perfect for this size. So 8x10 from that particular brand, the glittery stuff. And there it is. Now, something like this, now that's a chimpanzee in the jungle, basically in a zoo. And this guy, I don't know whether that will sell or not, but the other ones might. So once I get them all trimmed off, then I'll go ahead and, get rid of some of these. See which are the keepers and which are not. So one last one, and let's see, it's 2 o'clock. Let's do one more. Oh, wow, did I run out of the 8x10? Yes, I did. Gosh. Here we go. I also have 6x8 here. I like this. I might have to purchase some more. Let's do one more of these, and then that'll be it for today. Yeah, also love the fact that it's a little bit thicker. it doesn't seem as flimsy. Now the problem with that might be is, can my trimmer handle that? We'll have to see. So now this layout that I have here seems to work with the 8x10, and I want to waste as little material as possible. So this seems to be the way to go. What I had to do is to force Qimage to apply a lateral border. So everything is forced toward the middle. This is 8.5. So I need only 8. And I need it to be top and bottom 10 inches max. So I had to do this manual margins. And I experimented until I got it just down perfect. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and do this one. I'm trying to find parchment paper that's larger than maybe 15 inches by something, by 15 even. That would be perfect. It's the size of this press. That way I can cleanly cover my 12x12s. So I'm right now using 2 sheets, and that showed a margin when I did it last week. You saw that. So we cannot have that happen. It's all about the pressure. Even a sheet of paper will change the pressure. So I did a mistake. I overlapped 2 sheets of paper just to be able to have enough area. You need to prevent any kind of bleeding from hitting the platen. It will sublimate to that, and that will be transferred to future work, and you don't want that to happen. So that's why I need to buy some larger sheets. They're out there. I just need to find them. That's another little purchase I need to make. So so I did good. I only drank this much. Can't have my blood sugar rising. Now, talking about film. So I found this is going to take me back to scanning negatives. So I found my holders for my scanner. So this is for like 6x6, 120 film, and then 35 millimeter, and then other sizes as well. So we're going to be doing that as well. Quickly get to them. Don't overcook it. And I'm going to do a sampling trimming, see how that works out. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, everything's nice and even. You should get only like a ghost image on your transfer sheet, and it has to be pretty much even density. Then you know that a certain percentage evenly transferred over. And if you're really experimental, you can do various lengths of time check, do like patches of gray, and then measure each one, whether you can actually transfer more if you expose the aluminum to a longer time. Will it get denser? All of that, but nah, too much work. That came out pretty nice. So now let me pop my trimmer over here. Let's see what we can do. Oh, here's my other touches. Shh. I thought I didn't have any more. Okay, that is that. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Today I did not print anything. Move this out of the way. These corners can move that way. Now I thought I mentioned that I have smaller ones of this, and I have a pack of these. No, where did I put it at? Right here. A pack of those little hangers with screws, and I might be able to get away with it without popping through the back. I hope so. Otherwise, that's going to be a failure. I thought I would use just thinner ones. They're cheaper, save a little bit of money as well. But I don't know. Maybe the screws that come with those mounting hardwares are a little bit too long, maybe. Who knows? I need some light here. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim maybe the bottom off. I didn't mount this straight. I need to get at least one edge straight. Okay, let's cross your fingers and press. No, not quite straight, but good enough. I'll fix that later. Like so. Let's fix this edge here. These cutters are not absolutely accurate, so you cannot really rely on them to provide you with a perfect edge. But once they do cut, it's really neat. It's really neat. Okay. And I happen to have squares here. I think the blue side sticking out would be best. Like so. And then I can I was thinking of, putting a little label, but they're going to stick it to the wall. So I figured, nah, I better not. It's just, yeah, it looks good, but it's not going to be something that makes sense. Little crazy glue, and I got to be really careful with this that I don't go crazy smearing it everywhere. That's good enough right there like that. And And now I got to center it. These are squares, so there's no need to worry about orientation. Just make sure you get them on their center. As center as you possibly can. Got to get correctly orientated here. Oriented, I mean. And see, I got fingerprints on the top already. That is something normally normal occurrence. So let that dry a little bit, and then I can go ahead and I like to use my own cotton gloves, which I should be wearing, like so. So, this can be a little bit time consuming. I can then put JFR in the back. Like I said, they're going to probably just glue this. JFR 2025. This can go in one of those little envelopes with one of these little labels included. This describes the process, and so that will go together like this inside one of these, and that'll be what you pay. These smaller ones will go for $20. Like I said, I was shocked by the price of some of the items being sold yesterday. I guess I've been out of the game too long. Let me do a couple of these more, and then we'll be done. Let's go ahead and trim this one. And of course, I would normally not be doing this in a darkened environment. This would be done with the lights on. It's a barn in Gettysburg, and that's another Gettysburg shop, but amazing sunset. So again, the same procedure will be done. What's time consuming now will be chopping down all of those. That takes time. The paper ones I can do on my rotary trimmer, but these basically they got to be done individually by hand, and that takes time. So I would say it takes a good 10 minutes per unit. That's working constantly, nonstop. But you can sell them for, like I said, the larger ones are going to go for like $35 each as a deliverable unit inside one of those mailers. I got to order the larger plastic little Ziploc bags to handle those larger ones. And yeah, we'll look forward to next year. I'm going to be giving a few to the ladies that are going to be going to these larger shows out of the city, Philadelphia, New York, and see if they can get rid of them. I'll give them a percentage of the sales just to test the waters to see how this would go. And again, it depends on the environment. Some places it may be popular, and some places maybe not. Oh, and then if you treat them that way, you're definitely not going to be selling any. Thank God this is pretty doable. Now, one thing that you can do, and you should do, is to remember I use the shearing type cutter. Get the edges a little bit of a rounded, Again, you should do this with your white gloves on, of course, this way. And then that way they don't poke you. Once they get mounted, that's it. They're going to stay there pretty much for the duration. If I ever get this package out to you, you know who you are. I'll include some of these so you can get a taste of what this looks like in real life. Okie doke. I'll leave this out because I'm going to be working on it later today. But if there's any questions, anyone have anything they want to discuss, feel free right now. What would you like me to show, to demonstrate, to do a demo on it, if you will? You know, I would be willing to spend the money. I just got some money from Patreon, only $40-something, but it's still something. So I was able to add that to my PayPal, and then I can order reasonable stuff. I mean, nothing that exceeds that, obviously, but I like to try something from Red River. I think Red River will either give it to me for free, or I end up paying for it. But is there anything you guys would like me to test on the Pro-1000, the 8550, the P800, even the Canon G620, all my other, I have to tell you this. Oh gosh, hold on. Yeah. So you talking about that art paper? Does it come in that size? Let's see. But I got to tell you something pretty huge that took place yesterday. Let me go to Amazon, see if Amazon has it, because I've been using them to buy this stuff. Strathmore, if that is what you mean. So they have 18 by 24, and that is too big. They don't have the size you just mentioned. They have 12 by 12, they have 9 by 12, 6 by 6, 18 by 24, and then 12 by 18. 12 by 18 is what I just used on that one I show you, with all the little paintings attached to it. I have to reshare my screen again. Here. So this is what they have when it comes to that particular paper. Any paper just that size, but okay. Yeah, 17 by 22. What about it? What do you want to know about it? Your dye sub looks amazing. Your Nikon camera idea would be an interesting topic. That's what Harold is saying. And this is, so, I mean, why the interest in that size? It could be any photo paper, sure. I think officially, that is like the largest size before you create a custom size. But is there a specific reason for that? Because it's going to handle it, no problem. The Pro 1000 will handle it. It's just, yeah. I mean, it's nothing out of this world. It's just going to print a photo. I don't have anything that large, but it's just going to print it. That's all. There's nothing. If you can print it to a smaller size, it's gonna print it to a larger size. For instance, if I go to Red River and I order some 17 by 22, it's just gonna print it. It's trust me, there's not even a need to do that. Just do a smaller size, and it's gonna match that in large size. As long as I'm using a paper for which there is a profile for available, that would include Red River, but not these. These are papers don't come in that. Usually they come in 18 by 24 or 18 by 22, and then you have to trim off one edge to get it down to 17-inch. And I can do that on my trimmer, but that would be the only way to print, say, 17 by something. So say, for instance, if I was to order this, 10 sheets of 18 by 24, why not just print it on my P800? It allows me to use matte black ink. I would have to get it to work on the rear feeder before I can then trigger matte black ink, or mess around with the smaller sheets, get them to be fed somehow, and then use profiles for the 1100. That's another option. But no, there's not going to be any like, ooh, what a difference that makes. No, it's going to come out the same as if I have printed it on a 13 by 19. No difference. It's the same paper, just a little bigger. That's all. In other words, you're not going to see anything specific about, oh, this was printed on 13 by 19, but wait till I show you what it looks like on 17 by 22. It's going to be the same. There's not going to be any difference. Have you printed anything larger on you have a Pro 1000, right? Is that why you're asking? If I solve the problem with and I can get it to at least print reasonable densities and reasonably matching what I get on my 8550 without a single effort, then yeah, I will order some 17 by 22 or whatever that is. Yeah, 24. Then I would trim off 18 by 24. Then I would trim off 1 inch and begin to use it on my Pro 1000, assuming, of course, that. So you got a P1100. So you already have a printer that's better than mine. So what is it that you're trying to do here? What is that you're trying to show or whatever? When I start from 13 by 19 to 20 by 17, to me, it's a big difference. But what kind of difference? What do you see? What are you seeing? You should not be seeing a difference. Only possibly in the resolution of the print. Okay, because it has to be you better have super duper number of megapixels in that original file, or it's just going to interpolate as you're going from a smaller size to a larger size. But going from 17 to 22, from 13 to 19, is really not that big a difference. What difference are you seeing? I would love to see actual, shots, or see you in person, see what is it that you're witnessing. I'm not saying I don't believe you. Of course I do. But I would love to see what you are witnessing as a difference, as something that is causing you to, worry about why this is happening and why you would like Jose to test it on his printer. I would have to get that size paper. I don't have any that size at this point. so that I don't sound like a beggar, why don't you guys contact Red River and tell them to send me some papers? Yeah. I print borderless. So borderless printing, yeah. Why? Is what are you seeing? Are you seeing any mechanical defects in the leading edges? What is that you're seeing? Because image-wise, it should be imperceptible. You got to tell me, be specific as to what is it you're witnessing. Printing borderless always is a little iffy when it comes with certain papers. Remember, it has to print beyond the edges. It has to be able to support that very edge of that paper so that it is not either too high or too low. So I just mean the size of the paper. Maybe on camera is different. Yeah, I see. Again, what is it? The term that they use is where it just means on depends on the alignment of the planets. No, I don't know the size. So have you printed 17 by 22? Is that what you're saying? You have done it. Okay. Is there any descriptive term you can use? That's what I want to hear from you. Again, that's what we were talking about, diagnosing print problems. You got to be specific. You have to have the symptoms. You have to you have to describe them perfectly. Yes, what? Yes, what? The only way we could solve this would be, and again, camera will not show, so it would be like doing a live stream, you and me together, and you show me what you're talking about. And again, that will not. It kicked me out again, and I'm not doing anything. So maybe I'm pressing the wrong button on my mouse. What does OPK mean? This is interesting. I don't want to leave yet. I want to get to the bottom of this because I've done, let me show you. So these are two different papers, but still. This is 17 by 24. This is my famous painting of a cafe outside of Annapolis, Maryland, the historic part of Annapolis. And this is 17 by 24. If I print this on the 12 by 19, it's just going to be smaller, but it look identical. It will look identical. So I don't know what is it that you're attempting to try to describe to me, because there should be no difference. This is on a different type of paper, but this is all on the Pro 1000. If I can do it on the Pro 1000, you can do it on yours as well. Yours will be even better. So is that it? You said okay, and so I assume that we are satisfied. I mean, I don't want to leave you hanging because it is now 2:30, and I think my boy was on his way here. Maybe we'll see. I don't know whether he still wants to go out or not. We were gonna go get some pizza and bring it home, but we'll see. Okay, so Let me load this up in case we have nothing else. Take this down. Take that down. Put that up. They took all my automation away. So there's no way that I can do that anymore by simply clicking on a button. Wow, I just lost. You guys can see me, right? I just lost all the chats from prior. Okay. This is nuts. I don't know why this is happening, but I just lost all the chats. I only have Pete's one at 228 today. And then I don't believe you can use all 4 blacks rays on any paper on the Pro 1000. No, it's not the grays. Well, it is. On the 8550, you can indeed use both blacks and the other 4 colors, the gray, magenta, yellow, and cyan, all together, all 6 of them at the same time. Normally, you can only use 5 of them, either black and the other 4 colors. So if that is the rule, then again, I'm just going to mess around with some profiles and see if I'm able to get better results. I don't know if I missed it, but what was the huge news you were thinking? Oh, yeah, the huge news. I hope you guys are all here. Yeah, 24 of you. So I was in my back room. When my daughter moved, she gave me a bunch of those milk crates. I got to get rid of those because I can barely navigate myself through there. And I looked up at my Pro One and I thought, let me try this again. It had given me a B200 and I couldn't, get it to go away. And I said, well, before I do that, let me unplug it. So I powered off, unplugged it, and waited, came over here, did something, went back, plugged it back on, started it. Boom. If it begins to do the cleaning cycle that normally all Pro Ones do when you turn them off and back on, especially if you pull the plug, the B200 is gone. And indeed it was. Once it finished, I ran the nozzle check perfect. The only problem with that was that 4 of my cartridges were low. And I thought, forget it. I got chips. I'll replace the chips and top everything off. I didn't have enough chips. I said, okay, fine. I'll go to PrecisionColors.com. 12 color printers, Canon Pro 1 chips. Chips are sold out. No more are available. I said, oh, panic. Yeah. So that's the situation. I went on AliExpress, Alibaba.com, and no one has those chips. So I contacted Mike Lee yesterday late last night, and he has yet to reply to me. So I'm screwed. Yeah, I could buy compatible cartridges. It's like $44 for a set of 12. I cannot disable those chips, because if I do, then every time you try to print something, it's going to go through a massive cleaning cycle automatically. That's what I have been told by Precision Colors. This is when Mike owned it. And so that's it. Even though I revived my printer, I cannot really use it. I would have to, and I'm going to have to search and see if I can find some reasonably priced cartridges. That printer was a hog anyway for ink. It really wasted it so much. And I am shocked if sometime soon I don't get the warning for the waste ink pads being saturated. And that'll be the end. I'll have to trash it. So, yeah, that was it. It was huge. I thought, oh my God, I cannot believe this. I have another one that I have had off for a long time that somebody gave me, and it had a B200. And when I started up, it was fine. Yeah. But that one had an issue with the printhead. With one of the colors, half of it was lighter than the other half. And that's electronic. And even though the prints looked fine, then I also had a low cartridge and no chip. So anyway, I hate to throw away printers, and they become useless. The Pro One was a bomb from Canon, but it produced gorgeous prints, 3 grays plus the other colors. Yeah. So the transitions were flawless, amazing. The smoothness, the creaminess of all of the transitional changes of density is like nothing else could approach that. It's just that the ink delivery sucked. It was pressurized, and Canon simply didn't know what they were doing. So this is what the cartridge looks like. That's an internal bag inside a compartment sealed with Mylar. So they pressurize that space inside, which squeezes the bag. Okay. Yeah. Total failure. Anyway, that was it. That was the big news. And I also contacted. So I contacted Mike. Now I got to contact. I don't know if Matt really is aware of the situation that there was no more chips available. Yes, I could buy. Maybe I can find like out of date cartridges on eBay, but I'd like to get some use out of it. At least start making some prints before it finally reaches the end of its life. But anyway, my comment was to answer Pete Grovel's question. Sorry for the confusion. So, okay. All right, then that's going to be it. Okay. We will be back tomorrow. I will be uploading 2 videos. So I will do that tonight, and it'll be scheduled for tomorrow, 5:30 and 7:30. And then the next day and the next day, all throughout the week, just two per night, per afternoon. And then a previous live stream on Saturday at noon, and then our regular live stream as we did today at noon as well. Okie doke. So thank you so much. Do not forget to subscribe. We need about 70 some odd more subscribers to reach that middle qualification mode. And then after that, we can slowly rise to the required amount. And that way we'll be able to be monetized. And that will fund the channel so I can buy supplies. That's the reason for that. It's not for me to be able to go to dinner every night at some restaurant. Of course not. It's for me to be able to buy the materials that I think would help us to have demonstrated before you go out and spend money out of your pocket. Okay, if I show something and it is, then you don't have to worry about spending that money and finding out yourself that it is. Let me find out first, and then I'll make that information available to you all. All right, so that'll be it. Let's go play a slideshow, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody. Oh boy, hang on. Let's try that again.